And he looks at me, and it's almost like a ghost was in his eyes or something. And he thinks about it for a minute. He goes, "You're never going to believe the story I'm going to tell you." As soon as they moved in, he got the bigger room. And first thing they noticed was that lights were flickering on and off, sometimes popping even. But they actually put a cross up, and the cross kept turning upside down overnight, like they wouldn't see it. Welcome back to Murder, Mayhem, and Mortgages, where we discuss the dark side of real estate.
Wah, wah, wah.
And yes, it's as if house hunters and dead files had a baby.
I'm Chef.
And I'm Robbie, and we're real estate professionals who have been working for decades through all kinds of files, dark, light, and closed.
We're bringing murder, mayhem, and mortgages to you since we have decided that this is a very big part of real estate, apparently.
Absolutely. And sometimes it's a little bit lighthearted, sometimes it's dark, sometimes it's heavy, and sometimes it's just downright creepy.
Or crazy.
Yes. And today we lead off with the devil's own. It's a story that actually happened to one of my clients. Now, again, we do try to change the names for both the guilty and the innocent. So keep in mind that the names will not apply accurately.
So you have another personal encounter.
Indeed, as the Mayhem loan officer continues.
See, what did I tell you about working with Robbie?
Okay. So back in 2007, if you can recall, mortgages were kind of on a chaotic moment all on their own without my own Mayhem.
Well, this is right before the market crash.
Absolutely. There were challenges all over the place. I had a friend, let's call him Roland. And Roland was a pretty cool guy. He always wearing a cowboy hat. He had a couple of kids and very dark and tan because he ran his own pool company. Very mellow guy, always with a quick wit and smile on his face.
So like an exotic Matthew McConaughey?
Well, I'm not going to let him have that big of a head, but all right, let's roll with that. All right. Not my type, but okay. Okay. So anyway, my buddy Roland, he's a great guy. And he's a bit of a cannabis connoisseur, let's just say. But he was very mellow, and he met a lovely lady. Let's call her Andrea.
Okay.
Okay. So he and Andrea both had children, and they met and fell in love and decided to blend their families together. So they get married, and a few years later, they call me. So now it's probably about 2009.
Okay.
And they're like, "Hey, Robbie, hey, you want to help us buy a house?" And I'm like, "Sure, I do mortgages. No piece of cake, let me hook you up with a realtor," and off we go. They wanted to buy a house in Hearst, Texas. Have you ever been to Hearst?
Oh, that's where I bought my first house.
Well, maybe this is the same freaky house.
You know what? Maybe because there was a couple times in the middle of the night that I just had random glass shatter. One was my entertainment system, and one was actually the mirror in my bathroom.
Oh, dear God. I think we're going to get some complaints off of this because the realtors in Hearst and Bedford are going to be mad. They're going to be
Haunted
so mad.
Hearst.
Haunted Hearst. Okay. So here we go. So Andrea and Roland decide to purchase this property, and we close easily. Everything goes through smoothly, surprisingly enough, because the mortgages were really challenging back then. So if you recall, we were dealing with all kinds of challenges and fallout from the subprime lending catastrophes.
Yep.
But everything went through smoothly. They were doing great. And I actually got to attend the housewarming party.
How'd that go?
It went pretty well. I mean, it was a normal 4-bedroom, 2-bathroom, if I recall. It did have an above-ground pool and a giant tree in the backyard. I remember that.
Very nice.
And I also remember faintly that there was a lot of dark wood paneling, and the house was a dark house, and it wasn't my dark house, but, I mean, they had big dreams and plans of making their own changes and doing some things to the property. And it's not my house. So, I mean, it seemed like they were very happy and elated.
Well, I feel like a pool is required in Texas.
especially for somebody that owns a pool company. So, but they were ecstatic about the future, looking upbeat. Everything was going well.
So what happened?
I didn't hear from them. I literally got ghosted from my buddy and my client, and it was after a successful closing, and I didn't understand. But sometimes that happens. Like people get busy with their own families. I mean, you
True.
get so involved in their personal finances and their credit and everything else that's involved in a mortgage. You're almost like married to them for 30 days, and then they get busy with their own lives. So I didn't think too much of it.
Hmm.
Didn't think too much of it until a couple of years later, I find out that the house is empty. It's been foreclosed on, and Andrea and Roland are getting a divorce.
Really? That
And
escalated.
it escalated quickly. And I mean, I was almost in shock about it. And, but a lot of foreclosures that happened between 2008 and 2014. There was a lot going on. And I had my own challenges. I mean, I'm trying to run a business. So, I mean, like if they don't want to talk to me, I kind of move on and move to the next client.
Okay.
But about 2015, I found a need of my own at my own home for a pool guy. And if you don't know anything about me, everybody has some kind of kryptonite. Well, my kryptonite happens to be pool guys. Like I will find the worst pool guy within a million miles and literally hire him.
Well, my
Right.
kryptonite's cooking. That's why they call me chef.
Well, okay, we all have our own kryptonite, but mine is pool guys. So, but turns out Roland is a fantastic pool guy. And I actually found his card, called him, just shot in the dark to see if he was still working. And it turns out he was.
Awesome.
So I hired him. And I'd never had a better pool guy. He did a fantastic job.
So did you ask him like what happened?
Well, it took me a bit. Now I am a nosy bitch for sure. But pretty much every Thursday he would come in, clean the pool, and everything went kind of normal. And we would just kind of chat it up, have a couple of beers by the pool. I was always his last customer of the day. So if I got home early enough to see Roland, I was excited and we'd just sit down and chat and kind of reminiscent of older times. And I kind of enjoyed that. But after about 6 months, I finally asked Roland, come on, you got to tell me what happened. Like all of a sudden you ghosted me. I didn't know what happened. You guys get a divorce. What the fuck? You know? And he looks at me and it's almost like a ghost was in his eyes or something. And he thinks about it for a minute and he kind of sits down and we're having a beer and he goes, you're never going to believe the story I'm going to tell you.
Try
Um,
me.
I'm like, I've seen a lot of shit, man. Like, I've seen some dark stuff. I do real estate, right? So he proceeds to tell me this story where the family moved in and they were all excited and it was a blended family, but his son, Mason, he was like 14.
Hmm.
And as soon as they moved in, he got the bigger room. And first thing they noticed was that lights were flickering on and off
Hmm.
and sometimes popping even. And they didn't know what that was about. They thought they had an electrical issue. But as they were living there, Mason kind of receded from family life, if you will,
Hmm.
and kind of just kind of stayed in his room more and more.
Well,
And
yeah, but at 14, I mean, that's somewhat normal adolescent behavior.
right. But things started developing in a weird way. He got a lot more somber. He went from being a sweet kid to being kind of a sour kid, if you
Hmm.
will. What he also noticed was that he actually, in one occasion, especially got a little bit violent with his siblings.
Really?
And I was like, well, isn't this part of like, just being a teenage boy, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, how many children do you actually raise? And I'm like, oh, okay. Well, but turns out he was very concerned. They thought he was on drugs. They weren't really sure what was happening. Kid wasn't on drugs. And so they keep proceeding on and they start to, he was never really a particularly religious person. But, then they started praying, they would read the Bible as a family, that kinda
So
thing,
there was all
and
kinds of stuff going on even outside of the um, prepubescent
yeah,
fits.
it just kinda got dark. I mean, like, you got flickering lights and other kind of weird stuff, and then, one of the kids is just completely his personality changed.
Okay.
And so they actually put a cross up, and the cross kept turning upside down overnight, like, they wouldn't see it, who did it, but, it just They would wake up in the morning
So
and crosses were upside down.
you said they had a priest out? Did
They
they
brought in a priest to bless the home and didn't see any positive results from that. It actually kind of exacerbated the situation and it caused all kinds of problems in their marriage and in the family. And Andrea said, you know what? Peace out. I'm done. I'm not doing this. And took off with the kids. And as soon as she left the house, she felt better.
sounds like some Amityville horror stuff.
Kind of does, right? Like it's really freaky and, shit that you would normally see on the TV screen or movie screen, right?
But he stayed?
He did stay for a little bit longer, and of course, they were separated, and eventually, she said that she was feeling so much better at it, and now that she wasn't in the property, and he was struggling with the mortgage payments all by himself and whatnot, and so eventually he moved out, and Mason's personality turned back into being a pleasant, just sweet boy
So he
again.
was possessed, basically.
Well, by all accounts, it might be. I don't know. Maybe it was toxic mold. Who the hell knows? I mean, like, w- what? I wasn't there. I wasn't there. This is just the story that
I know.
a
I just
former client told me.
I don't see how else
And
you could explain it. I mean, with
well, I mean, like maybe Satan involved in the mortgage. I don't know. He was a silent second seller or something. I'm not
the
really
devil's
sure.
in the details, they say.
It is devils in the
And in your house,
details.
apparently.
Yes, apparently so, and it could have been the same thing with your house. But yeah,
Quite possibly.
interestingly enough, even though they moved out, they still got a divorce, and he tells me this story years later, and I'm shaking my head going, "Well, I I know there's dark stuff out there. I just you don't know when it impacts you or what you would do." Like,
I definitely
I
believe stuff like
definitely would have
that.
moved out, but he was like, "The hell with it. The bank can have the house," and he was done
Why didn't he
and
just
let it
try to
go.
sell it? It was just
I
too
don't th
much, or
I wonder he just said it was too much to deal with. He was losing his wife, his kids, he was more worried about his son
Mhm.
and just it wasn't worth it. And I think knowing him, he wouldn't have wanted to sell it to somebody else without disclosing, by the way, there might be, I don't know, a demon hanging out in here. I mean, I don't know what. I wouldn't sell it. I mean, would you sell a possessed piece of real estate to somebody? I mean, would you advertise it like that?
Oh, no. I mean, and actually there's laws that have been enacted because of non-disclosure of certain things like that, that actually
Does that exist in Texas?
I don't know about in Texas, but I actually came across a story in New York once that was considered the Ghostbuster case.
Oh, okay.
And actually that, you know, wasn't the one that I was going to talk about today, but your story just made me think about it, and it was on my list of things to discuss. But yeah, there was actually a house in New York, beautiful picturesque house, right on the Hudson River, nice Victorian home, beautiful. And this lady and her family, they moved in, I think this was late 60s, early 70s, because they lived there quite a while. And um, she had said that there were ghosts in the house.
Huh.
That this was something that she actively talked about, even wrote an article to Reader's Digest about it. And she just treated them like they were friends. I mean,
Oh,
she was even painting her home
they're
one day.
just the others. It's Nicole Kidman.
Yes, it said, she even asked if they liked the color of the paint, and
Oh,
commented that I'm sure it was lovely when they lived there. And
there's nothing like bringing out your own Winchester house to be. I mean, like, what the hell? Do you
yeah,
like the color? How's the lighting?
yeah, and so they just lived alongside the ghosts
Huh.
like they were guests.
Oh,
And
okay.
many years
I think
later,
there's a TV show right now about that.
quite possibly. I mean, it
I
was a
love that TV show. Like, I watch that TV show, and I can see to where if you're the only person, like, actually communing with them, it would be quite awkward, but, I mean, they do it well on TV, but you're, like, living in a real live ghost house, talking with them about colors,
yeah,
pastels,
but apparently
and
it
wallpaper.
never bothered her. They lived there for like 20 some odd years,
Okay,
and finally they decided to sell the home.
okay.
And of course, with this location, very highly desired area. I mean, who wouldn't want to live on the Hudson River in this beautiful home? I mean, it's a pretty large home too. And so they put it on the market to sell the home, and these people put it under contract. And then I guess there was some kids playing outside, and they're like, "Oh, You know that house is haunted, kind of like the twins from The Shining, like, "Ha, ha, ha, you know this
Come
house
with
is haunted."
us.
And so, eventually they tried to cancel the contract. They'd put quite a large sum of money down for the earnest money. I think it was like over $30,000. And so they no longer wanted to buy the home,
Imagine that.
wanted to get their money back. And
If my ghost is not Nicole Kidman, I don't want this house.
yeah. And so they went to court over it. It got nicknamed like the Ghostbuster case or whatever. And at first, the court, sided with the seller, like, no, you need to perform in buying this house. This isn't something that technically has to be disclosed, especially because you can't prove that it's actually haunted. And so they appealed the case to the Supreme Court and
Oh,
just
this
became,
went all the way to the Supreme Court about
yes.
whether or not we can tell whether or not there's ghosts.
Well,
Did they bring in the chick from Dead Files?
I mean, they brought
I'm here to professionally testify that there is an entity.
Well, I mean, essentially, though, there was public statements from this lady that it was haunted. I mean, there was a Reader Digest article, for goodness sake.
But isn't there a market for this? I mean, like, there's some dark, twisted people who would love to hang out with some dead people.
Yeah, but essentially, this becomes a stigmatized property and something that should be disclosed because, especially in certain cultures, I mean, a stigmatized property is a big deal. But you're right. You're absolutely right. There is a huge market for this, and they were able to sell it to somebody else, and I think for a little bit more. And with all of that disclosed, because there are people that don't mind the
There
spooky
are some
stuff,
creepy mofos out there that don't mind hanging out with dead things.
or they make it a tourist attraction.
M. Night Shyamalan, I see dead.
Come stay in my Airbnb where there's extra guests with you in your room.
Well, everybody wants to stay in the Lincoln Room. I mean, and that's supposed to be haunted.
So yeah, I mean, there's just it's just crazy, and I'm a firm believer that something like that should be disclosed. But at the end of the day, you're going to end up with a buyer that wants that house, and you don't have to worry about the legal fluff because you didn't mention something like that.
Let me just tell you, if I am coming to buy, I will sue if you don't tell me there's a dead person in there or a person buried in the backyard, as we discussed on previous episodes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I want to know.
And
I want to know.
not everything has to be disclosed. I mean, violent crimes are supposed to, but if somebody dies of natural causes or um, suicide, those don't technically have to be disclosed. But I
I'm
think
just trying to figure out for your protection, get a home inspection and an exorcist. I mean, like, what the?
a witch doctor to come sage the home.
I love it.
But there's actually people that do that. They
Come in and bless the home.
yes,
Okay.
because you just never know what happened there
Now, isn't
before.
there a website that you can tell whether or not somebody's dead or died?
Yes, and
Okay, so
so,
tell me about that.
when I was in I'm still in real estate, but early on in real estate, I discovered this website. It's called diedinhouse.com. So if you're ever curious that if somebody died in your house, you can go to this website. You do have to pay for the information. I mean, there's you could probably find it for free if you dig enough, but if you just want an easy, quick answer, you could go to this website and find out if somebody died in your house. And
Or just go to Sprouts and find your own priest or priestess and bless your damn home yourself. Take your choice.
yes,
My God.
yeah. So you
Oh.
just never know. I mean, when my husband and I bought our house in Colorado, apparently the previous owner had died in our house too.
Oh.
I was just carrying about my business one day and he sends me an obituary, just randomly sends me an obituary to my messenger. And I'm like,
Who sends this?
my husband.
Oh my God.
I'm like, what the hell is this? He's like, well,
Nothing says communicate like an email of death in your household.
he had gotten the title work before I did and noticed it said estate of
Okay.
and found the guy's obituary and just randomly sent it to me. And I'm like, do you want me to cancel this house? I mean, I'm on my way to the inspection. If I feel one heebie jeebie, I'm out. I'm out.
I've
Thankfully,
already walked on a dead body. I'm not doing it again.
thankfully, I didn't feel any creeps,
Oh
and we ended up
God.
buying the house and haven't had any weird stuff happen yet. But not that it's still on the table. I'm sure it's still on the table.
All right. So, at the end of every episode, after telling each other's stories, we do try to rate each other's stories on murder, mayhem, and mortgages on a scale of 1 to 5. Since yours did not involve any foreclosure, madness or fraud, I'm going to give you a 0 on mortgages. However, mayhem, you're going to get a solid 5. And murder, there was no murder, I don't think. Was
Well,
there?
maybe. I mean, this house was built in the 1900s. Who knows? She seemed to see people
Arsenic
from
poisoning.
many eras of time. So
Did anybody ask if on the seller's disclosure if there was actually murder? Just ghosts.
no, nope, just ghosts.
Just ghosts. All right.
So I
And
only get a
on
5 today.
on a on a devil's own, what do you think?
Oh, definitely 5 for mayhem. I mean,
Boom! I
crosses
love
turning
registering
upside
fives
down
every
and
time.
demonically possessed teenagers, definitely a 5 on the mayhem.
Well, it's still up for question. I mean, again, it depends on, what they find on the inspections.
I'm gonna give you 4 on murder because even though we don't know somebody was murdered with that kind of energy, it had to been
Oh, okay. So that's a surprise
some kind
scoring.
of
Dark horse racing through. I
and
think I'm ahead.
mortgages. I'm gonna give you a 5 on mortgages because this is 4 times now, Robin,
Boom.
that you've had some weirdo stuff with you or your clients.
Yes. On the scoring tally, I am winning.
Yes, yes.
As
Robin
Charlie Sheen said,
Robin
this
wins
is
today.
winning. This is winning. So, all right. Thank you so much for joining us on Murder, Mayhem, and Mortgages.
And don't forget to like or subscribe on whatever channel you like to listen on.
And of course, if you'd like to submit your own stories to tell us your own very dark stories in real true crime, we'll be happy to relay them on. Just let us know. Of course, we will change the names for both the guilty and the innocent. Don't forget to subscribe and follow us on any of our social media outlets.